Ladies and gentlemen, most people walk around every day carrying a voice in their head that tells them they're not enough, that they'll fail, that they're too late, too broken, or too far behind. That voice, it's not the truth. It's a script written by fear, past pain, and other people's opinions. But what if, for just 3 days, you rewrote the script? What if, instead of being your own critic, you became your coach? Your internal dialogue shapes your external reality. Most people don't realize that the single most influential voice in their life is their own. It's not your parents, your boss, your friends, or your critics. It's you. The way you speak to yourself, especially in moments of silence and solitude, becomes the blueprint for your actions, your attitude, and ultimately your results. Think about the way you start your mornings. You wake up and immediately tell yourself you're tired, unprepared, or not good enough. That tone follows you like a shadow. It affects how you carry yourself, how you interact with people, how much risk you're willing to take, and how confidently you show up. Your internal dialogue has the power to either build your self-worth or dismantle it. The conversations you have with yourself when no one's watching are the ones that define who you are becoming. If you constantly speak fear, doubt, and failure into your mind, you begin to embody those patterns unconsciously. But when you flip that switch and intentionally feed your mind with truth, discipline, belief, and purpose, you begin to rewire your mindset for strength. Words aren't just sounds, they're programming tools. Your brain listens, it reacts, it follows. You tell yourself you're not smart enough, and your actions start aligning with that belief. You say you're not attractive, and your body language starts shrinking to match the insecurity. You tell yourself you're not a leader, and you'll never step up when the opportunity comes. The crazy part is most people repeat these self-defeating thoughts for years without realizing how deeply they're rooted in the subconscious. It becomes a loop, and like a broken record, it plays over and over until that belief becomes truth. But here's the shift. You can intercept that loop. You can speak a new script into your life with the same level of consistency and intensity. It starts with awareness, noticing the language you use with yourself, and then making the bold choice to change it. If you can look in the mirror and say, I am capable, I am worthy, I'm growing stronger every day, and do that consistently, you will notice something incredible. Your environment, your energy, and your decisions will begin to reflect the belief system you're reinforcing. You'll start carrying yourself differently. You make choices that align with your higher self, not your fears. The beauty of this practice is that it's completely within your control. No one can take it away from you. It's the one thing in this world that you own entirely. Your thoughts are your domain, and by taking authority over your self-talk, you're not just changing how you feel, you're changing how you operate, you're breaking the old identity and building the one you are meant to live. You're not waiting on permission, you're not asking for validation, you're stepping into the truth that the words you speak to yourself are shaping your habits, your confidence, your vision, and your entire future. Affirmation without action is just noise. Believe it, speak it, then live it. It's easy to stand in front of the mirror and recite powerful words, but without the discipline to back them with effort, they become hollow. Motivation may get you started, but execution is what builds transformation. Too many people fall into the trap of speaking positive affirmations and expecting change to magically follow. The truth is, words are the ignition, but habits are the fuel. You can say, I am confident all day long, but if you avoid every opportunity to lead, take risks, or speak up, that affirmation becomes a mask, not a mirror. You can say, I am successful, but if you wake up late, procrastinate, and avoid the hard work, those words lose their weight. The power of self-talk is not just in the saying, it's in how those words drive your behavior. You must align your internal declarations with your daily decisions. That's where the real transformation begins. The way you speak to yourself sets the emotional tone for your day, but it's your choices that give those words substance. Think of your self-talk as a contract you write with your future. When you say, I am disciplined, you're making a promise. Now, the question is, do your actions sign that contract or tear it up? When you affirm something, your brain begins to look for evidence to support that belief. If your actions contradict your words, the brain rejects the affirmation as false. But when your actions follow your words, even in small ways, your brain starts to accept it as your new identity. It begins to rebuild the neural pathways that define how you think, behave, and perform. That's the science of self-leadership. Speak the words, then take the step. Declare it, then prove it. One without the other leaves you stuck in fantasy. There's a moment every day where your belief will be tested by resistance. That's the moment your affirmation has to turn into action. That's where the real growth happens. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. If you say, I'm focused, then put your phone down when it's time to work. If you say, I'm healthy, then choose the food that honors your energy. These aren't massive life overhauls. They're small, aligned behaviors that reinforce what you're telling yourself. And when repeated over time, they stack into habits. Those habits become patterns. Those patterns become character. And that character becomes your destiny. So yes, talk to yourself like you're already the person you want to become, but then show up and live like it. Confidence is built in the space between belief and behavior. Integrity is formed when your self-talk matches your follow-through. When those two things are in harmony, your mind stops doubting and starts trusting. That trust becomes your foundation. That foundation becomes your strength. And with strength comes momentum, clarity, and the courage to keep showing up even when it's hard. You become what you repeatedly say to yourself. Make your voice your power, not your prison. Every time you speak, whether out loud or in thought, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. Your inner voice is not just background noise, it is the internal architect of your identity. Most people allow this voice to run on autopilot, programmed by years of criticism, failure, insecurity, and fear. Without realizing it, they speak limitation into their future and rehearse defeat before ever stepping into the game. That quiet whisper in your mind is either building you up or tearing you down with every sentence. If you repeatedly tell yourself you're not ready, not good enough, or not worthy, eventually you begin to act like someone who isn't. You withdraw, you hesitate, you underperform, not because you lack potential, but because your mind has already accepted a version of you that's playing small. But the opposite is also true. When you intentionally speak strength, resilience, and belief into yourself, you begin to show up differently. Your energy shifts, your presence becomes felt, you start to command the room, not because you have more talent than others, but because you've conditioned your mind to see yourself as valuable. You're no longer waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. You've taken control of that story. This is not fake confidence. This is the result of inner training. Just like your body gets stronger when you lift weights, your mindset strengthens when you lift your self-talk out of negativity and into intentional power. It's not about ignoring flaws or pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing to speak from a place of growth instead of fear. The words you choose become the lens through which you view your challenges. You can see a problem and tell yourself it's the end, or you can tell yourself it's a test. You can hit a setback and decide it means you're a failure, or you can say, this is the part of the story where I get stronger. That's the power of internal language. What you say to yourself when no one's watching determines how you respond when everyone is. If your self-talk is filled with guilt, doubt, and shame, then even in your wins, you'll feel like an imposter. But when your voice becomes your ally, you begin to experience a freedom that no external validation can provide. Every day is a chance to rewrite that voice. It doesn't happen overnight. You won't go from negative to positive in one sentence, but you can start with one phrase, one belief, one moment where you catch the old script and decide to replace it. You speak truth instead of fear. You speak purpose instead of panic. You speak progress instead of perfection. And over time, Your voice evolves into one that drives you, empowers you, and lifts you when life tries to pull you down. That's when your voice stops being your prison and starts becoming your power. That's when you stop surviving and start leading from within.